person needs to know that Amalek is going to rise. And one of the most critical places that a person needs to learn about Amalek is from this week's parasha. Why? Because this is the source of Amalek. When Rivka marries Yitzchak, they pray for nearly 20 years until she eventually has a child. She gets pregnant, as the Torah tells us. And then once she gets pregnant, the Pasuk says in chapter 25, verse 22, ויתרוצצו הבנים בקרבה, ותאמר אם כן למה זה אנוכי, ותלך לדרוש את אדוני. The children agitated within her, and she said, if so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Hashem. So what happened here? The Midrash tells us that Rivka did not know that she had twin children in her belly. And she saw something very strange. When she walked by the local Bet Midrash of Shem and Evel, where there was Torah, fiery Torah in there, she saw that the baby moved, and that made her happy. But then shortly later, she passed by the place of idol worship, and the baby moved again. And she started becoming hysterical, and she went to the yeshiva of Shem and Evel to inquire what's happening here. Please tell me what's happening here. And it says, she went to ask from Hashem, meaning through the Shem, why is it that my baby is enticed to go to a place of holiness and also enticed to go to a place of idol worship? If he wants both, I'd rather just die. I'd rather just die than having a kid that wants to go both to idol worship and wants to go to the synagogue. He wants to go to shul on Shabbat, but with a car. He wants to donate money to the synagogue, to the yeshiva, but with money that he won in a casino. He wants to say that he send his kids to yeshiva, but in the same token he takes them on all types of cruises that are not kosher, and goes on all types of non-kosher vacations, goes to the casino, where spends money on all types of things that are not allowed. He says, if that's the case, I'd rather just simply die. I'd rather not have a baby. I'd rather not have a baby. And then she's comforted by the next verse that says, Vayomer Adonai la shne goyim bebitnech ushne leumim mima'aich yifaridu leom mileom yamatz verav ya'avor tzadir. Hashem says to her, 2 nations are in your womb. 2 regimes from your inside shall be separated. The might shall pass from one regime to the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. What is being said here? HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Rivka, my dear daughter, it's not 1 baby, it's 2. It's 2 babies you have. And these are not just regular babies, these are 2 nations. And these nations are going to be major leaders in the world. In fact, the Me'am Loez says that the ultimate goal was for both Yaakov and Esav to be our forefathers, where Yaakov was supposed to be the forefather of 6 of the tribes, and Esav was supposed to be the forefather of 6 of the tribes. And originally, that's what it looked like. They were going, as it says, that after they were born, these 2 V'yigdelu ha'ne'arim v'yi Esav ish yodei tzayid, that these lads grew up, and Esav became one who knows trapping and a man of the field, but Yaakov was a wholesome man abiding by the tents, abiding in the tents, meaning that they were na'arim. They both were bachurei yeshiva. They looked very similar to each other. They were both learning Torah. They have Torah from their father Yitzchak. They have Torah from their grandfather Avraham. They have Torah in the yeshiva of Shem and Ever. They have all the wonderful tools you can possibly imagine to be big tzaddikim. They grew up the same. You couldn't tell the difference between them. Both were tzaddikim. But at some point, Esav decided to abandon the truth and go towards materialism. And after he went to materialism, it was a downhill spiral where eventually he became a murderer, an idol worshiper, and in so many words, every sin under the sun. But before all of this happened, we have to ask ourselves, why is it that Rivka, on one hand, says, if this is what's happening within me, I'd rather just simply die. What's the point of my life? And she's comforted by being told that there's 2 babies within her. Why is that comforting? Says Rav Shalom Shvadron, alav shalom, Rivka knew, if she has one baby that wants to go to the synagogue on Shabbat, but with the car, if she has one baby that wants to be part of this Judeo-Christian organizations where he wants to be a so-called Orthodox Jew, but also be supportive of the Christian theology and all of this idol worship types of partnerships, it's better off to simply die. It's better off to die. Okay. What's the other option that comforts her? Oh, you have 2 babies. Why is that comforting? Why is that comforting? Says Rav Shalom Shvadron, when Rivka heard that she has 2 babies, she knew that she has a much bigger reason to live than she even thought. Why? Because right now, she has 1 baby that's inclined to do good, inclined to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, inclined to be an Eved Hashem, whereas the other one has inclinations towards idolatry. Doesn't mean that he has to be an idol worshiper. He still has free choice. But he has a special Yetzirah that pulls him towards the other side. She says, I'm better off with that. Why? Says Rav Shalom Shvadron, if you have 1 baby that's going to be inclined to do good things, good neshama, soft, wants to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and one that wants to serve an idol, at least you know what you're dealing with. At least you know what you're dealing with. At least you know, okay, this one is inclined to do good things. Good, I'll put him in the right direction. I'll help him whenever needed, but I'll spend a lot of attention to whatever is necessary to get the other one to join too, even because he's inclined to do bad things. He has one of those, one of those yetzaras that is very, very powerful. And if he beats it, says the Me'am Loez, he can even be more righteous than Yaakov. And that's much better than having one child that has an inclination to do both. Why? When you have an inclination, when you have a lifestyle, when you have an ideology, when you have a mentality that wants to be a servant of Hashem, but also focused on materialism, a servant of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but also friend of the nations, and accept their ideologies and their philosophies as if it's okay, it's better off to not be at all. Why? Simply put, someone that is living such a life with an ideology that is trying to serve Hashem, but at the same token, trying to serve his pocket, trying to serve mankind, trying to serve everything else but Hashem, that person ultimately is the biggest problem. Those types of mentalities are the biggest problems, because eventually they end up choosing the wrong side, and they end up bringing many people with them. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells to Rivka, 2 nations are in your womb, 2 regimes from your inside shall be separated. And the Gemara in Masechet Megillah says that you must know that when Edom is powerful, Am Yisrael is weak. When Am Yisrael is powerful, Edom is weak. If you tell me that both Edom and Am Yisrael are strong, I don't believe you. If you tell me that both Edom and Israel are weak, I also don't believe you. Why? They have to go on the opposite end. And we're talking about now not just ideas, not just opinions, but this is a simple reality. Now, of course, we know that from Esav comes, he's the nation of Edom, and he also gives birth to his son Eliphaz, which from him comes Amalek. But there's an extraordinary chidush that we learned from the Abarbanel. And the Abarbanel says in his commentary on the book of Zechariah, in chapter 14, where it talks about the war of Gog and Magog, the Abarbanel says, you should know that Amalek is not necessarily what we always thought, the obvious. It comes from Edom, it comes from the whether it's America or Europe or Russia. No. He says Edom give birth to Amalek, and Amalek is also Ishmael. Meaning the nation of Ishmael has Amalek within it, which explains a lot of things of how they behaved in such a savage, horrific way just a month and a half ago when they murdered thousands of Jewish people, much more than what the media and the government is willing to tell us, and of course shook up the world. This shake-up of the world didn't end with that day. In fact, the bigger shake-up has been over the last couple of months, where we saw how this opinion, this ideology of murdering Jews, destroying Israel, destroying the Jewish people, is a very common opinion around the world, even in nations that call themselves our allies, whether it be Canada or America or different places in Europe, that even if the government says that they are friends of Israel, their citizens don't necessarily agree. And it's not just small groups anymore of criminals and gangsters. We're talking about enormous amount of people are supporting this Ishmael's war that within him, says the Abarbanel, is Amalek.